It is very easy to get under Donald Trump's skin, but to live rent-free in his head is just one step above, and a step that has been taken by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who drives Donald Trump so crazy that in the midst of scandals and screw-ups exploding and erupting out of his White House, he is for some reason focused on attacking her. Yes, Trump and his stooges are attacking Jasmine Crockett as she exposes his dark past in a moment in which a lot of Donald Trump's dark past is coming up. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting the work that we're doing. Now, before we can get into the meltdown that's happening out of the White House over Jasmine Crockett, we got to start with one of the clips that set him off. Is this right here?
So, Miss Goss Graves, I want to play a game. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over 30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing. Yet the Republicans have been silent. So they must think spending taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. And when I talk about constituents, we're going to talk about the ones on this committee.
Donald Trump and really all of the MAGA movement have been working relentlessly to try to make trans Americans some scapegoat, something that people need to be scared of, the boogeyman of people who just want to live with dignity, which I think is what this whole American experiment was all about. But clearly MAGA has fake patriotism. They don't actually believe any of the things set out in our founding documents and founding principles. But what a shock that is. And I love that Jasmine Crockett has turned this on Donald Trump. I'd also like to say that we always hear these accusations that trans people want to go into your bathroom and make you uncomfortable. It seems like the only person going into places they shouldn't, making people uncomfortable, is Donald Trump. He's done that pretty well documentedly, so I'm glad that Jasmine Crockett is bringing that up. And of course, it wasn't just Trump whose past she went after. Also, Melania's helped set this off as well.
And since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the First Lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
We as Democrats do need to be telling more personal stories, whether they are about the people Donald Trump is affecting or the people around him, which just show his hypocrisy. And Jasmine Crockett has perfectly done that. And it is the reason we see the White House melting down, attacking her for this tired insult that Donald Trump is always trying to push that just looks so stupid considering how stupid he is. Brain capacity of a jellyfish. White House lashes out at Jasmine Crockett. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, one of the most vocal Democrats in Congress who's poised to take a future leadership role, is once again finding herself in the crosshairs of White House officials. On Wednesday, a Trump administration official told Fox News Chad Pergram Jasmine Crockett has the brain capacity of a jellyfish and is the last person on Earth to critique anyone's mental acuity, let alone intelligence. Harrison Fields, White House principal deputy press secretary, continued telling the Fox host the Democrats' rising star has done more to cement the party's demise than the president she breathlessly supported. The decrepit and feeble Joe Biden, Jasmine Crockett continues to prove she'd be better suited as a reality TV star. Are you serious right now on VH1 than an elected official on Capitol Hill? Fields may have been referring to Crockett's recent swipe at Melania Trump, claiming the First Lady was giving special treatment when she came to the United States on an EB-1 visa, which is commonly referred to as an Einstein visa. Crockett told a House hearing on restoring integrity in the visa process that the Einstein visa is given to people with some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. Crockett concluded, as we saw, it doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here. On the same day, Trump attacked Crockett's intelligence, posting to Truth Social, "I have an idea for the Democrats to bring them back into play." That involved nominating low IQ candidate Jasmine Crockett for president. It is interesting that both Trump and the rest of MAGA is bringing up the potential for Jasmine Crockett's star to rise even further, because recently we actually saw that she was at the top of a poll for the Democratic primary in a U.S. Senate seat in Texas in 2026. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about that seat, especially because Ken Paxton, one of the worst Republicans in the entire country, is thinking of running for it and would probably be able to take down John Cornyn in a primary just because he's so much more MAGA, leading Democrats to have the best opportunity, and I mean best opportunity they have ever had to potentially retake that seat. And it gets actually even better considering Elon Musk might want to be throwing a third-party person, something, stealing votes from conservatives in there. So clearly they're very threatened by the idea of Jasmine Crockett ascending even further in Democratic leadership, becoming a senator. Obviously, there are a lot of people at play there: Colin Allred, Beto O'Rourke, Joaquin Castro. We might see James Tallarico. There's a lot of folks out there who could be running, but Jasmine Crockett, if it scares MAGA, I'm certainly interested in it. She's denied that she might want to get into the race. I love Jasmine Crockett in the House. There are a lot of Democrats who would rather be in the House than the Senate. We saw Jamie Raskin pass down the opportunity to run for a Senate seat in Maryland, so maybe that's what she's focused on. But I wouldn't hate it, especially when she's delivering takedowns like this.
Are you aware, any of you, are you aware as to whether or not tourism in the United States is anticipated to decrease to the extent that we are estimated to lose $12.5 billion in international vendor spending in just the year 2025?
I can answer as the tourism capital of the country.
I assume you could.
Tourism's already down. It is down in the North Country, where the Canadians refuse to come over because of the hostility toward their country. It's happening in New York City. It's happening at our sporting events here, our theater. There's a ripple effect throughout our entire economy because of the change in attitude that our country, that once welcomed people from all over the world to visit and recreate and to live here, now feels like a very hostile place to them. It is going to have an economic impact on our bottom line, without a doubt.
So let's talk about it a little bit more. So I am supposed to have a number of FIFA games in Dallas, and I am fully anticipating that we are going to have a problem because I've been receiving phone calls that people don't feel safe coming here, and it's not the immigrants. It's this government that is making them feel unsafe. But let me also do this, because they love to cherry pick. They can find, any one person that has been killed. And if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers. And that is the problem. But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we going to have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person. And no, I'm not excusing any killings by them or white supremacists. But they haven't had these hearings. We didn't have a hearing on Buffalo and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on El Paso and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on Charleston and what happened there. So it's interesting that they pick and choose, because it seems like they love to pal around with the white supremacists, and so they don't want to talk about certain other things. But economically, I want to make sure that we're making this point again, because I know that Governor Pritzker, you were the beneficiary of a lot of things from the state of Texas. And a lot of people believe that Republicans are fiscally responsible, but instead they are actually fiscally irresponsible, because what he spent was a whopping $221 million transporting people from Texas to your state. Something tells me that he could have done something else with that $221 million. In addition to that, I know that there's been some conversations about what's going on in LA, and they want to say that it's riots because they didn't want people to keep talking about, say, the Epstein files or whatever other drama was popping off between the president and his little friend. So they wanted to change the conversation to immigration because they feel like, well, the polling is in our benefit. But let me tell you something. If they cared about making sure we were going to be fiscally responsible, they would tell the American people that it cost them $134 million to send the National Guard to LA for the quote-unquote riots that the governor didn't ask for, nor did the mayor of LA ask for, and they sent them over there, and they say that they care about our service members, yet they sent them and they were laying on the floor. They did not provide for food. So I don't know why we would believe that, number one, they want to fix this. They don't want to fix this, because the brokenness is a feature, not a flaw of the system, because it is beneficial to them when it comes to campaigning. If they can't stoke fear, then why are they going to, say, have anybody vote for them? Because that's what people are doing. They're voting out of fear. But Ms. Perryman, we know each other a little well. And I know you got a law degree. And it seems like we all need law degrees in here nowadays to understand the Constitution. So really briefly, I just want to make this point. There is a certain person that was afforded, say, due process. But let's say if, say, Donald Trump had been charged with all of these cases that he got charged with in 4 different jurisdictions. If he wasn't afforded due process, there could have been a possibility that he just would have been locked up and thrown somewhere, right?
That would be a possibility.
And then maybe we wouldn't have a tariff war or anything else that we're dealing with or all the other nonsense. But the point is, he was afforded due process, and regardless of the political opposition, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, I thought, believe that due process should be afforded to everybody, even him.
Due process is for everyone.
Okay, so the Fifth Amendment doesn't say that it's just for the people that are Americans.
It does not.
It says anybody on our soil.
It's for everyone.
Okay, it's pretty simple. I don't know why we are having issues.
Jasmine Crockett's call out of Trump's bigotry, which I feel like we move on from far too often, feels very pertinent today when Donald Trump told an African leader of a nation that speaks English as its national language that he speaks very good English, which, by the way, isn't proper grammar. Yeah, I think it's important to point out how bigoted this guy is. I know there's a lot we can talk about, but I don't think it hurts. And we're going to keep covering that on this show every single day. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you're stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.